There you go. Now,
This is a work session to go over one of the products that has been in my evaluation as a goal for the last couple of years, which is to develop an intensive neighborhood outreach thing. And we were finally able to really make tons of progress on it because Angelica here was an intern with us. And this was one of the projects that she worked on for us. And so through her work and then meeting with Jasmine and I, we really kind of worked to refine this. We feel that it's probably like 85, 90% of the way there. And what we wanted to do is just kind of get it to a point where we could bring it to you, go over what we're thinking, get some feedback, those types of things. And since it was a group project, we're kind of tag teaming it. So we've got little sections as we work our way through and our initials next to it. And so with that, we'll just kind of start walking through this one handout that's stapled for you.
sounds good.
Is that on? Okay. So the first thing that we worked on was coming up with possible names for the outreach program. So it wasn't just like City of Alamosa outreach program. Angelica kind of came up with a couple of ones. We sent it out to department heads to see if they had any feedback or if they had any suggestions. And then once we kind of got those back, we sent it out to department heads to vote on what their favorite name was. And so kind of in this order is their first, second, third, fourth choice. And then we had another write-in. And so we just wanted to go over those with you and see your feelings about the name.
And what we can do is kind of circle back as well and see if there's direction at each point kind of thing. We also looked at AI
Yes.
as well. So what would it be in this time of day if we didn't run it through that as well? So we kind of cleaned them up, played with them. And then this is the ranking. That doesn't mean that's what you have to go with, but we wanted to try to help move this forward a little bit. So we had department heads think about it as well.
Council, any comments on it? So, is this what you wanted us to?
We'll still keep going. Is that okay? Okay.
So we also, for the next part, we have potential neighborhoods meeting locations. So as you can see in the map, each neighborhood has a different name, and you're probably very familiar with those. But yeah, we have some of the locations listed where each neighborhood can meet with us, because we want to go to the neighborhoods instead of them coming to us. And that was something very important, especially for that group. So the first ones, and some of them, they have the different parks, and those locations will depend on the time of the year. So during winter, probably we won't want to meet at the park.
And just because we didn't practice this ahead of time, so I don't think we're gonna go through reading all of this. But this is something that when you guys go and you're thinking about it, if you look at these and you're like, oh, we probably could add this or we could add that type of situation. And then we added the churches, and we just added any church that was within that neighborhood or near that neighborhood, not favoring one church or another, realizing some might be more open to public meetings than others and that kind of stuff. Was there anything else you wanted to say on that one?
Yeah, then for the next part, materials and resources needed for the meetings, that just lists everything that we're thinking we're gonna need for the meetings once we have all the information that we want to give to the neighbors. I'm sorry, like interpretation. Especially because if we are trying to get to the different neighborhoods, we want to be inclusive. So having interpreters there, food, drinks, childcare, so there's no excuses for people not to attend. Then also what we were thinking is the gift cards that will incentivize people to attend the meetings instead of, I don't know, just seeing everything on Facebook or social media, but also being present so we know their thoughts.
And then the others are pretty straightforward, what you would bring to a community meeting. Other than the two things at the bottom. So one, we do want to take pictures. So that way we can do videos for and really try to build the program and say, okay, our first neighborhood meeting was over. Here's, a few things or something like that. And then also from a promotional swag perspective, something we talked about is like the intent of these meetings is to really find out what's important to these neighborhoods, what the issues are, how we can engage, all of that kind of stuff. But it's also an opportunity to get them information. So if we have a city bag that has some of, like the organizational chart or who to call, and we've talked about maybe putting just a quick fact sheet together, or here's the trail system, or, just stuff like that. It's an opportunity for us to try to also just get some general information to them as well. The next session is we kind of brainstormed on who would attend. So I would be facilitating the meetings, and then either Jasmine or Beata could be there to help take notes and just assist and that kind of stuff. We figured we would invite whoever the council member is for the ward that it's in, as well as invite at-large council members and the mayor. That doesn't mean you have to attend, because we wanted to be very deliberate in that this isn't the city getting up and doing the presentation. It's actually more listening type of situation, and then answering questions and things like that. But it really is not intended to be just pushing information. It's to be having conversations type of thing. When we get to the steps that we're going to do as far as trying to roll it out, one of the things you'll see is we want to issue a survey before the first community meeting. The part of that is not everyone's going to be able to show up to a meeting. Not everyone will show up to a meeting. And so we wanted to use the survey as a tool to try to capture as much input as possible from even people who won't be able to make it to a meeting. And if we do the survey in advance, that can guide a little bit of what that discussion is at the meeting, because we could talk about, here's what we heard from the survey. Is there something missing? Does this ring true? Like kind of help that kind of conversation. And so that also would tell us if this neighborhood brings up, we're really tired of this going on in the parks. Well, we can have Andy there if that was a major theme. Or if streets issues is a major theme, we can have Harry or Ray there type of situation. If crime and those types of things, we can have George there. Not to drive presentations on police, but to be there if that seems to be one of the themes. But we don't want to lead what the themes might be. We just want to be responsive. The other item is we may get comments and themes in the survey that's not related to city services. So there may be complaints about the school district or concerns related to the county operations or, something like that. And so that way, depending on what those themes are, we can invite certain community partners to engage as well.
So I think initially to start this, we would send a press release to like the entire community, letting them know, hey, we're going to start this outreach program. We're going to go neighborhood by neighborhood, because this is going to take a little bit of time and quite a per neighborhood. So we don't want people to think we were forgetting about them, but just that it's going to take us a minute. We want to, like Heather said, we want to combine all those photos and create a video and then kind of share that out. And this is our first meeting. It was a success. People showed up. It's a good time. Please come talk to us. We are working on the first survey and the first letter that goes out just to the neighborhoods and specific language for those neighborhoods. And then we also still need to draft the second survey based on what we received back from the first survey. And then we want to send reminder letters with our second survey, and then come up with the final letter that says, here's your concerns, here's how the city's addressed those concerns, and then here's how you contact us if you still have concerns, that kind of thing.
And there is a bullet here that we probably haven't talked much about. I read in the newspaper where Monte Vista was encouraging people to sign up for Text My Gov. And I was like, well, what is this? And it is this really neat service that they've bought into where people can text text.my.gov, and it goes into a system that then gets triaged to different departments. So if someone wants to report a pothole or a barking dog or a sign down or, whatever it is, weeds, they can text it in and it will triage it to the right department. It also will allow us to text people type of thing. And so on a map like this, we could identify a neighborhood and send a text that says, here's a survey, and have a link to the survey. And we could send a text that says, just a reminder, a community meeting, or, that kind of stuff. So we would be able to use that tool as a way to try to engage with the neighborhood.
And as Heather was mentioning, the survey. So this was some of the questions that we are thinking on adding to the survey. They're open-ended questions. It encourages people to put what they're thinking. Like the first one, what are the top 3 things that you like most about your neighborhood? That will encourage us, and for us, it will give us information saying, okay, this is what they appreciate about their neighborhood, let's not change it. Or the things that they want to change, or it will make their neighborhood a better place. So all of them are open-ended questions. It's not like yes, no. So it will encourage everybody to put what they're thinking. And the other thing that we're gonna use is the Google Forms to distribute the surveys, because that will be easier, and I think it doesn't have any cost to the city either. So it will be better.
And so we can circle back to see what you think on those questions, but we didn't want to be leading. We didn't want to say, what do you think about the streets? What do you think about police? Like, we really wanted them to drive what they feel the things are. And we didn't just want it to be negative. And that's why we wanted to include some of those positive ones of, what do you like about your neighborhood? What do you like about Alamosa type of situation? So kind of a place to start. So how we would anticipate kind of this rolling out is, you've got kind of the first period of time, which is the program preparation. So we would want to connect with potential partner organizations that Angelica will review here in a bit. But we want to explain to them like what we're trying to do and see if they can help us connect with the neighborhoods and residents and those types of things, and then get their main person to contact. We also need to try to identify neighborhood leaders and who could help us motivate people to do the survey, to come to the meetings, all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's some materials we need to purchase. We need to draft some of these things. We've kind of drafted a letter and stuff like that, but we need to finish doing those things. We need to do some general promotion, as Jasmine shared, and then also prepare those informational bags. And so then if you look at this, I'll be kind of walking you through this. So we're going to pick one neighborhood and we're focusing on one neighborhood. So each neighborhood is going to take 4 months. So that first month is, we're going to send out a letter directly to them, and it will have a survey as well as a link if they want to do the survey online. So they can do it either by paper or online. As well as having information on when the community meeting's going to be, which is technically the beginning of the second month. But that first letter's that first time that we're connecting with them. We really wanted the survey to be anonymous, but also we're trying to brainstorm on how to encourage people to submit the survey. So this one's new, Angelica. It came up on Tuesday. What we talked about is if they want to be entered into a drawing, they could give their email address. So it's optional. We don't have any idea how many people might take us up on it. And then after a couple weeks, we would send out a reminder letter with, again, the information on the survey and the community meeting. We'd be booking the venue, coordinating the childcare, the food, other materials. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be tabulating the data from the survey, which then takes us into the next month. And so we'll have the first meeting. And so we'll review the results, we'll get their feedback. Like I said, if there's common themes, we'll have the appropriate people there. We bring materials, all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll kind of start trying to get a feel of, if there was 20 things listed as issues, what do you feel are kind of the most important type of situation? And kind of try to filter and think through some of that. But again, not everyone's going to show up to the community meetings. And so we really want to make sure at every step we're still engaging with the entire neighborhood. And so we have the first meeting. And then what we would do is send a second letter with a second survey with information on a second community meeting that's going to come up. And so the second letter would say, hey, we did the first survey, we held the community meeting, here's what we're hearing. We want to see if we're missing anything and start prioritizing this. And so, that letter's really hard to draft up front because we don't know how these discussions are going to happen, as well as that second survey type of thing. So it's still another way to try to engage and get input. And then on month 3, we host the second meeting. We bring the results from the second survey, we discuss again, but then we can also talk about if there's anything we can take care of immediately. So for example, if some of it is potholes, well, that's just normal maintenance stuff. And so we can say, hey, we're actually gonna get that done this year, If someone wants all new light fixtures in the park, that's a bigger capital expense. And so we can start triaging kind of some of these issues and providing feedback to them. After the second meeting, we would have then one final letter that reports back out to the neighborhood that says, after all of this, kind of here's what we're seeing going forward. And we'll find the words, but essentially we're closing this neighborhood out type of situation. What we wanted to do is get through one neighborhood all the way through, because this is the first time and we may want to tweak things, or we may find something didn't work so well or stuff like that. But then once we start the second neighborhood from a workload perspective, we feel like we can start staggering them, because obviously we're not going to get through all of these in 1 year, but we don't want it to take forever at the same time. But I hope you can see, like, from walking through this, like, this is going to be a lot of work. And some of it we can perfect, and it's, rolling out the same first letter just to the next neighborhood and some stuff like that. But then as you go through the process, it's much more specific onto the neighborhood that's been picked. Angelica, if you want to go over possible partnerships real fast.
Yeah, so some of the possible partnerships that we listed is the San Luis Valley Area Health and Education Center, because they have a program, I think they still have it, promotores or promotoras. And so they go and visit families, and they have a lot of contact with a lot of families in the different neighborhoods. The other one is SLV Immigrant Resource Center, as they have the trust of the immigrant population and also the Hispanic population, so they can spread the word to the different neighborhoods, and just let them know this is what's going on, because some of them are gonna have questions once they get the letters. They're gonna be like, oh, what is this? What does it mean? So, and I work there. So that's why I'm saying that a lot of the people, once they get letters, they tend to come to us and say, okay, can you explain what this means? So we can let them know that they need to fill out the survey, and I might be able to help them if they need assistance filling out the survey, but obviously put in their words. And then the Alamosa School Districts, I think that's a very important partnership. It will be a better partner because, well, they have all the kids and they have a lot of resources as well. The Boys and Girls Club, same thing. Shooting Stars, La Puente, especially with their Adelante program, as they work with families, the different churches in the valley. And the last part will be identifying neighborhood leaders, because we believe that if there's a leader in the neighborhood, they can encourage people to participate and fill out the surveys. And you trust more your neighbor than sometimes you don't trust organizations all that much. So but you trust your neighbor. So I think those are important partnerships. If you know of anybody else that we should include, please let us know and we can include them too.
And we did forget to mention that obviously all the materials would be translated to Spanish as well, type of thing. So that's kind of the different pieces of it, and we can like take feedback on any of those pieces and, all of that. We do want you guys to pick the name.
Okay, right, good deal. Very, very thought out presentation. Thank you all so much. So I'll go with whoever had the lights on. Go ahead, Carson. I don't know which one of y'all had it first. Okay, Liz, and then Carson.
How are you gonna pick?
So what we were thinking of doing, just given some of the social dynamics that we have in our community, is probably trying to pick a neighborhood on the south side and then just drawing it out of a hat, or like when we have to draw things for the tickets, we just put it in this little wheel thing and it goes beep, boom, and yes. Yep.
How about a housing coalition / housing authority, maybe just because housing is such big. Or someone in the housing world, I guess. So there's just a couple suggestions. And that's all the questions I have. I think this is I'm super excited.
Carson?
I don't have any questions. I just have a suggestion. If I missed it, please please accept my apologies. And it's something simple. I'm sure you guys are already thinking about it, but we've been getting tons of good feedback, and like QR codes are big again. Like they're huge.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, people are using them. They're crazy about them now. We've been doing a lot of stuff at the district and through water, and people always are talking about QR codes. I don't know if it's because people like finally figured out how to use them. They're getting the hang of them, but they're huge. If you stick those in the mailers, almost everybody knows how to use a QR code. If they're like, they're like language neutral, you know what I mean? And if you can cater them to the household. If you think it's a Spanish household, that QR code can also go, it can go to a bilingual page, you know what I mean? And so they're cake, and they've been really effective. Just something that I saw lately is if you put it, just a big kind of take up a chunk of real estate on whatever form you're using, and people are using them. It's crazy. All of our meetings, nobody's using anything except QR codes. They want QR codes in Zoom chats, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest, but, excuse my language. I didn't mean to say that. My
You're
bad.
being recorded.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but, to put them on everything, because they are such a big chunk of real estate. That's what I'm saying. And sometimes they take up too much room, but people have to be able to see them. The camera does it, so they're pretty effective.
Okay. Counselor Krebs,
Oh, thank you, Mayor.
you're welcome.
Well, everyone's skipping over what you guys want to know. So for name options, I like the second one or the last one, because both voice and neighborhood kind of sum it up, kind of thing. Makes it more personal. On the who attends, I know the police department's been trying to promote their neighborhood watch program, so maybe a representative from the police department, just to be there or have neighborhood watch materials in the bag.
The materials in the bag,
Yeah.
maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that they're included as well. And then, for possible partnerships, the only two that popped into my brain, because I'm trying to proactively think of what questions might pop up or complaints. Excel, because a lot of the streetlights, and whenever there's a street light out, we have to let Excel know. And so maybe understanding the dynamic around that, and maybe someone from the downtown in certain neighborhood meetings. So because I have a feeling the Main Street downtown will come up, even though they'll ask questions about the neighborhood. We all know it'll spiral a little bit outside that, and it'll just become a general, well, what about this kind of thing? So, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Cribb. Counselor, Jackie Vio.
So as far as the name, I like number 2. And for the first letter, are you gonna send it to every household that's in that neighborhood?
In the
In
neighborhood.
the neighborhood,
Mhm.
okay.
And so to kind of dive a little, because we went over a lot. So we're gonna do a community-wide kind of press release in the beginning, so
Mhm.
people can kind of be anticipating it type of thing and defining it and everything. But then we're gonna drill into the neighborhood and all the communication will be in that neighborhood type of thing.
Okay. And then with the Google survey, how is that gonna work?
So you can do it where they don't have to put in their email. And so it would either be a link or a QR code or both, type of thing. And then we have the questions in there and they'll just go in there and do it and then it collects it all for Jasmine type of
Okay,
thing.
so what about those people who are not savvy to?
So that's the
like,
paper one.
The pay, oh, so you're gonna send out a paper
Yes.
one also? Oh,
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Counselor Carson, then Counselor Hensley.
Just to, Jackie, that was my suggestion with the QR code, because that's one of the things we found that like even people who aren't tech savvy, because it's a picture, basically you're using your camera to take it. I mean, I agree, we should have a paper form. I'm not saying that, but that QR code does help a lot. Like it's been crazy, the feedback we got. I was like, how simple? Because I thought they were kind of annoying. And they're killing it. People are just using the heck out of them. Like, even in campaigns, take
Yeah.
it right to a website and all that. Like seriously, it's crazy.
It's true. That's true. Counselor Hensley.
So my question would be, so I kind of like number 2. The challenge I have with number 2 is neighbor is used twice. So you have 6 words and 2 of them are neighbor. So kind of neighbor up your voice to your neighborhood, kind of just a lot of neighbor. But so my question would be was there any feedback to, I kind of like the word neighborhood, but I also like community. And I guess my question, was there any feedback from the people that kind of rank these that where they might have liked community better or why they chose that one?
Not from the department head specifically. When we ran it through AI, it did say for this type of initiative that the first one was the most appealing, with the second one being the second, and then kind of so on and so forth. But the department heads didn't really have feedback on the wording.
So I'm not overly, I don't have huge, but I guess just from a marketer standpoint is using neighbor twice in things like that is a little repetitive.
So would you say the same thing about the third one?
And no one has said they like the third
Yeah.
one yet.
I do like.
You do? Oh,
I just
there
like
you
the third
go.
one because to me, there's so many organizations doing so many things. It's nice to know where something's coming from sometimes. This is a government organization. I get your neighborhood letters, like have you guys get those in your box? Do you ever get them? It's like, there's a campaign already. It's called like Your Neighborhood, and you'll get these letters that are like a solicitation for your neighborhood already. I'll try to dig one up, and they're like a website that you go to. It's like, I can't remember the name, but I always thought it was kind of strange because it's not a local organization doing it. It's like a kind of like spam mail, but real mail. You know what I mean? So I just sometimes feel it's nice to know that it's, a city emblem is
Well,
great.
there's gonna be, it's gonna be on city letterhead. We're gonna have the city logo on the survey. It's all gonna have the city stuff on it.
But yeah, I just asked Liz because she's right, with
Yeah.
her marketing background, like, do you get the same feel from the third one? Because I get what you're saying.
So third one doesn't have as much impact, and maybe it is because neighborhood is used twice. I'm not
Okay.
sure. If I was to say, I almost like City Connect, Our Stories, Our Streets.
That's cool.
So I know this.
I like combining them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like doing the City Connect, Our Stories, Our Streets.
That's cool. I like that.
Because of and what that does tie in is our voice, because in a sense, I did like your voice part of it. But if we say our story, our streets, something like that, but
What if we said our story, our neighborhoods? And then we included neighborhoods and it's only in there once. Just throwing that out there. Or our neighborhoods, our story. Maybe that actually makes it more personal. Our neighborhoods, our story. that one, that's one way to put it there. But I always like challenging AI, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have a little slight different twist, since I haven't commented yet. The second one, I like it and just thoughts, but maybe changing some around like your neighborhood, your voice, neighbor up, in that order. And then, when it comes to community partners that we might want to consider adding, since we're trying to get more youth involved from the high school, maybe the Key Club might be a good group, to help out. Then I just wanted to ask a question. Who came up with the, neighborhood, like, meeting location names? I think these are pretty cool.
So that was Rachel's team, and you guys actually approved the map already.
Okay, but I didn't know these names before, but like, I think they're pretty cool. I like them. I live in Old Town North. That sounds pretty good. Okay, but those were my comments, but Counselor Krebs, she has her light on.
Oh, no worries. Just a comment and a question. So for the comment, on the surveys that get mailed out, I understand they're gonna be they're the same survey that you scan in. Will there be instructions on what to do if they fill it out, where to drop it off?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And, you have 4 meetings, but you have a whole bunch of neighborhoods. How are they gonna be divided up into the meeting groups?
So it's gonna be multiple years to get to every neighborhood.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah,
So, okay, I see. So it's not like surrounding areas will be one block. It'll
No.
be- Okay.
yeah. So the
Never mind
first
then.
neighborhood just, might be Old Town South.
Mhm.
And then the second neighborhood for that 4 months might be Zapata. And then the third neighborhood for those 4 months is gonna be Washington.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they're not grouped together. They're on their own. Yeah.
Okey-doke.
Those are the neighborhood names, right? Like, haven't those been around for a while?
Some of them, that's probably they have been, and that's why they picked them. And then some of them, I think they picked them based on what amenities are in the neighborhood.
Cause like McLean Pink was a realtor that bought, like I bought my land from in that subdivision.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got mine. So that was like a whole, he must have owned all that at one point, wherever that was.
So Deacon probably had a hand in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like the neighborhood names there. Some of them are
Pretty cool.
Now, I will say, part of the branding side of this, Mayor, to your comment on maybe putting neighbor up at the end. I think part of the reason we had neighbor up at the beginning and then like City Connect or some is like, at some point that might, like, the whole thing's the name, but we also might, in some ways from a branding perspective, shorten it too. So it's like neighbor up exclamation or
Okay.
City Connect or that kind of thing. And then the words after it might be like kind of a different font or something, a play on that type of thing.
Okay.
But again, these are not hills for us to die on. You can come up with whatever you want. We just didn't want to, we wanted to bring something to you.
neighborhood connection, just as a general term, if we were doing our own thing, not using like city, whatever the title would be, but as a closing, like neighborhood connections or Alamosa neighborhood connection. You know what I mean? Just in general, I like that. I would throw that in there if it was, if we were changing it up, but I like neighborhood. I really do think it belongs in there somewhere. Connection or connections, connect is important. I think those are just key words that we need to have in whatever the name is. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of neighbor up, but just as a like, I don't know. I like neighborhood. I think our neighborhoods or I like our neighborhoods, our story or something like that. It's cool. Like something to make it personal. This almost does feel a little robotic, but yeah, I think, we're in the right direction for sure. They're all really cool. So I'm not, again, it's not a hill for me to die on either. I trust what you guys come up with. So,
Okay. We got Hensley and Krebs or Krebs and Hensley.
Oh,
Okay. Hensley?
So as I'm looking at this, I think I like your better than our. So now looking at a little bit, I like what Ty said, or Mayor Coleman said about the neighbor up being at the end, because there's something about that. So I'm almost thinking, if I was to throw either City Connect, but why not use the word Alamosa? So say Alamosa Connect. I don't know if I like Alamosa Connected, but Alamosa Connect, your voice, your community, neighbor up. And I can see that sort of, so kind of just make that a little longer. And then I can see then that as we shorten it, or people say, hey, you're going to that Alamosa Connect meeting. So I can see what you're saying, where it ends up being that sort of the title.
And then the neighbor up is a call to action type.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Okay.
It's in my head.
But then the neighbor up is a call to action.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Your place, your community, neighbor up.
Yep. Sounds good.
Guess that's why you're marking.
Yeah,
Good.
that's right.
Look, it's
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, Counselor Krebs?
Since we know that this is like a long-term thing, is there any way that staff can get T-shirts that say that? When they do the physical presentation?
Mm-hmm.
If
Okay.
it doesn't cost too much.
We're getting quite good at these t-shirt things.
Take it out of city council for it.
So I do have another nuance to discuss with you guys, and this is new for Angelica and Jasmine. So it took a while to do this because it was something where we couldn't just go out and just start meeting. Like, we needed to think through, how do we do this? How can we encourage people to engage? What do we call it? And, think through all of that kind of stuff. How long is it going to take? And so that's kind of why I think it kind of kept getting put to the back burner. So I'm really glad to get it to this point in time type of situation. However, January, or in the beginning of 2026, we are going to be starting our comprehensive planning process, which is going to have a significant amount of public outreach, a significant amount. That's our number one goal from the comp plan, is to engage with the public. We also have a public that has just come off of the county comp plan outreach and currently the Visit Alamosa strategic plan outreach. And so what I am a little concerned about is if we're trying to roll out a new engagement program to get people to fill out surveys for the neighborhood and to come to a meeting for the neighborhood, the same time we are rolling out a comp plan public engagement and trying to get people to fill out surveys and come to neighborhoods, I think there's a potential to have confusion and that kind of stuff. What I'd like to propose is that we don't get locked in on starting this next year until we hire a consultant and know what their outreach plan is going to be for the comprehensive plan. Because it could be that it does work together, or it could be that there could be potential issues. But my promise to you is, if we don't roll it out right away because of the comp plan, that we package it, we clean it up, we have it ready to take off the shelf once the comp plan process is done in 2026. So it's still going to happen. We have to think through how much can the public take at one time from an engagement perspective. So I just want to put that out there and get some thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Both of y'all have your lights on. Which one? We'll go Mike first this time and then Councilman.
So I'm as big a fan as I am of consultants. I didn't start with that, but I think that we have the brain trust in the staff, on the staff side, to look at it a little proactively and see if there is anything that can work together, or, on the comp plan. You've done comp plans already, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I guess, I'm not trying to beat a horse you've already beaten, but I think we should do, not take everything. A consultant's probably gonna say splitting them up is the best plan, maybe. I don't necessarily think so. I think that if we can not, I don't like the word condense, but if we could include this somehow in that comp plan and get feedback, or even start this like in a soft rollout, I think people's feedback from a community standpoint might be valid. I mean, if they're complaining about potholes, you know, I guess that's not necessarily comp plan because we're gonna include it in streets, but I don't know, I'm just wishing that we could probably include this and try to, you know, the whole two birds with one stone thing, but not to
wasn't-
minimize either one.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna have the consultant tell us, yes, you can, or no, you can't. It was gonna be more of, one of the things that's gonna differentiate which consultant we pick is how successful and sophisticated they are with their outreach, because that's the key to a comp plan. And so not knowing what their plans might be for who we pick, it's hard to know if this would fit in or not. So what I'm saying is, let us
Done something like
yeah.
that before. or whatever.
what their plans are. So like, let us do the competitive process, pick a consultant, and then take a look at what their plan was for outreach, and then make the decision if we roll it out or don't, or if type of situation, is more of what I was saying.
Councilor Hensley?
So there is a major burnout. And so we are struggling on that group to actually get feedback because of the county one, and people are getting very confused. And so we actually had quite a bit of discussion on this last Thursday in regards to that. So personally, I do think taking a little break, so maybe not starting this December or whatever, because I think the county stuff and even the Visit Alamo stuff is going to start winding down. Having the next few months to sort of be a break of all these surveys, to then start fresh with the comp survey. Now, again, I like the idea if maybe it's ties together, whatever, where it's one survey and you get kill two birds with that one survey, but however it works. But I will tell you, people are really, we know the difference between the county of Alamosa, the city of Alamosa, and Visit Alamosa, and all of those things. But the people that, they're just like, oh my gosh, another survey, haven't you already asked me all these questions? And we did just have that discussion, so I will tell you, there is a little bit of a burnout right now, so. From the meeting.
Okay, good. And the other thing I was gonna mention earlier, I like the idea about the people who may want to, make their names known to be put in a drawing, to where when they complete the survey, we have a raffle every month or something like that. I thought that was a good idea too.
My only comment is if, for the, the comp plan overlay type thing, my only negative about the calendar is very structured, very well laid out. I hesitate for the December through April, only because of the hardcore winter and trying to get people to come out in the cold and stuff, where I think the other 3 meeting times, so even if we had to pause it and start it in May, but then maybe only do after the first one, the every 2 months, but maybe take a break then for 4 months or 3 months or however.
We
Just-
can,
That's my main
yeah.
concern, is the weather getting people that might come out, not wanting to come out.
we can dig more into that and brainstorm more on that. What I'm worried about is, like, say we're not doing the comp plan, and this is what we were gonna do next year. What I'm worried about is you could almost, any chunk of time, find a reason not to do it. Like during the summertime is when attendance at our advisory boards drop off the most, because people are traveling, type of thing. So but whereas during the school year, getting parents to come to another meeting, like I think almost anything is hard, except we didn't want to start it during the November, December. We didn't want to start it during that time because of the holiday type of stuff.
And that reminded me, I'm so sorry, advisory boards, if we had a little informational sheet on the advisory board for the
Yep.
information pack.
Yep.
Okay. So since we still have a little time, are there any other things that you all needed direction from council on, right now?
I would just say, as you guys take this and look at it, and we could have missed some potential areas from a meeting location perspective. So I didn't
Okay.
drive the neighborhoods. I did it based on my memory and looking at Google Maps and, and that kind of stuff. And so we tried to get it as comprehensive as possible. And again, we have not contacted any of these locations that's not owned by the city. This is a pure brainstorming. But if you know in a neighborhood that there's a natural area that they would probably want to meet at or something, please send that to us type of thing.
Okay.
And if anything else pops out at you, let me know.
Okay, well, thank you all for all your detailed work you put into this. Really appreciate it.
And Helica's internship
Helica.
is done,
Oh.
but she's still in the community.
I'm still gonna be around. So, yeah, if at any point you need support for this project, I'm still around and I'm working at SLV Immigrant Resource Center. So, yeah,
Glad
I'm
you're
rich.
still in the community working, and
yes.
I tell you, interns around here, it ends up working out pretty good eventually, right?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.